All right, back home, just finished up at the track. So at the track, we did some plyos. We did basketball to warm up, so the hoops are down, which was a good thing. So I got to shoot some hoops. My favorite warm up, just run around, shoot some hoops, get some jumps in, layups, that type of thing. Try and dunk. I can't dunk. I can't even come close, but just jumps. Basic plyos. You're getting plyos. You're getting some change of direction. You're getting so a little bit of conditioning, warming up. Just get that body temperature up with basketball. So especially when you're missing shots, you got to chase them down. So you get a pretty good warm up there. Then we did some plyos. So some. Oh, what did we do? We did not broad jumps, bounds, and prime times, and lateral bounds. So just different ways. So we did different types. So each kind of set was different. So one rep might have been hands on head or no hands. And if you really want to feel how your upper body should be moving when you're sprinting, when you're jumping, don't use hands. Put your hands on the top of your head. I did bounds with hands on top of my head. I could really feel torso rotating like it's supposed to, because you're not able to use your arms. And then you reincorporate your arms. You're using them right. That's a good way to do with sprinting too. Then for sprints, we did 5, 10 flies, and some 20-yard sprints and time those. Did a contrast. Again, the sled was not out. So I just did overcoming ISO against the wall in that acceleration pose and right into my 5, 10 flies. Much better than last week. Not the best I've had, but right around my typical PR time of 1:13. But I'm giving an excuse, a valid excuse, I think, is that I had to take a dump, but the bathroom was closed there. They were, I don't know if they're pumping the drains or doing some maintenance or cleaning in there, but the bathroom was closed. So I had to take a dump. That's my excuse. Got home, just took a dump. Now we're good to go. So that's why that's why I'm going to say my times were not a PR. Is when you have to dump, you're not able to go your fastest because you got to dump. But all joking aside, we're back. We're going to start with our main first movements of the day, our first lifting, training, jumping and lifting movements of the day. We're going to stick with that three exercise tri-set that we did last week and continue with it. So we're going to hit an overcoming ISO squat against the rack, pulling it up against the rack. We're actually going to go outside. It's not nice out, but it's not snowing, so that's good. We're going to do depth drops out there, and then we're going to do an approach hurdle jump. So we're just going to work our way up the hurdle, do some pretty fairly high, rigid depth drops, and kind of catch ourselves in that quarter squat again too. Same with the overcoming ISO. We're going to be more in that quarter squat position, really pulling against that rack for 5 or so seconds here. So let's move this to get a little bit closer so we can actually see that. See the setup. There's probably better setups than this, but this is what I got here. Again, I like to put the belt on. You just gotta watch out for pinching the nuts there. Women, you probably don't have to worry about that. But it can still be kind of uncomfortable, that pulling. So just gotta find the right height. That's pretty good right there. So then all we're doing is trying to lift this rack up. That might be too high. If you don't have a rack that's like bolted to the ground, you can just get a weight that is something you can't lift and do that. So if you have a squat rack, you could go, I don't know, whatever. Let's say you can't get 500 pounds off the bar, put 500 pounds on the rack, and you're just going to push against that. So that's another way you could do it. But again, I like this variation because it doesn't put any more compression on the spine, because we'll be doing that with other lifts today. All right, again, with the drops here, we're working on that rigid, kind of sticking the landing. It was about, I don't know, maybe 30 degrees out, so not the best. It looks a lot nicer than it actually is because the sun's actually shining here for once in Wisconsin. But again, working on sticking those landings,
taking on that force, taking on that impact. If you are doing the more rigid landing, it is going to be a higher force. I don't have force plates. I've never used force plates, but I just did Hunter Eisenhower's, I don't know, what is it, course, whatever you want to call it, and talking about the rigid and how he's tested purposely landing stiffer. That more rigid landing is going to create more force than it is if you're more the compliant, where you think of the ones I've done before, where it's like you're melting to the ground, you're landing lower and trying to land soft, trying to be like quiet with your feet landing. So that's creating less force. Then we did the old one-step hurdle jump, approach hurdle jumps. So working our way up. These were probably like 37 inches, so nothing special, nothing. Legs felt kind of heavy doing these first few reps. And see, I clip it on that, and that's nothing. That wasn't even 40 inches, but we just kept going. So not every jump's going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. That's what training's for. Training is for failing. This was another set. Didn't film the overcoming lunges, but we added another about 4 or 5 inch box on top. So a little bit deeper, a little bit higher, I should say. So we're getting our way up to the top of the garage there. Not quite as high as I have been, but it was cold, and concrete can kind of beat up the joints. That's the other problem with concrete. You definitely feel the impact, especially when I notice it a lot more when I'm dunking and jumping on concrete. I feel it more as if I'm jumping on a softer surface. But keep hitting those and then working our way up again. So that was the one I think that's the same height I just missed. Now I think we're above 40. I got up to 43 eventually. There's a good shot coming up here. I think it's not this one, but the next one. But I think this one I clear. As you can see, my hurdles have been through a lot. The ones that side's not, I think it only goes up to 45. I think we tried at 45 here because that one only goes up to 45 because it's snapped off. And we'll see what happens on this one. The shatter machine, which I'm glad I got it on camera. I like to get those on camera. So the kids aren't the only ones who break it. I break plenty of them. It's just glad that I didn't break the clips because I broke those clips, and those are the main things. If I have a few of those, I can still. I've probably had like 10 total like hurdles in all, and I'm probably down to like 2, maybe. This might only have 1 or 2 actual ones that have enough to get a crossbar across them because I've broken so many. These are such cheap, crappy things. Cheaply made. They're not cheap to buy. They're like $100 a piece for like 5 of them, and they break like that. So that was that. But we put it back on, just a little bit narrower hurdle now as we find all the pieces, and then we'll do some more jumping. So we fail again, but we can't end on a failure. We got to end on a made one, so I don't go up. I think it was 43, I believe was the highest, so not quite the 45. I don't know, frozen legs, heavy legs, whatever it is, just Haven't done these in a while, but again, some days you have it, some days you don't. Well, you got to finish on got to win to finish. Like you're shooting baskets, you don't usually end on a miss. You got to make one to be done.
Some more strength focused work. We're gonna do reverse lunges, heavy reverse lunges. Work up to set of 3 on those. We're gonna pair those with single leg broad jumps, and we'll throw in some spinal movement. We're gonna do GHR, just spinal extension, just iso hold. I think hanging on GHR for a little bit, bending that spine backwards, and after that we'll get into our finish or our last few kind of accessory strength work. We're gonna do drop catch RDLs again, and then hit our impulses to end the day with the hamstring and the leg extension. So that will be the day. So we'll get to work our way up here, and throw in those jumps and hit the back, and let's go.